Hi guys, I'm Neil and welcome back to my channel Neil's Life Hacks. So, US is a pretty humongous country with 50 states and tons of diversities. When I first came to the US, I had to, face my fair share of challenges. And it was pretty difficult since I was the first one among my family to come here. There were a lot of things I didn't know about the country, a lot of unknowns, and I wish someone had told me about those back then. Hence, today I'm making this particular video to help you navigate the country when you first come here. The irony is that the day I'm recording this particular video is the same day Trump passed an executive order to cancel most travel visas till the end of this year. But you'll be coming here someday. So let's get started. So tipping is the means by which you acknowledge good service. Tipping is not mandatory here in the US, but it's customary in many circumstances. For example, you're going for a nice meal in a restaurant and the service is about average. You still need to pay 15 to 20% of your pre-tax bill as tips. The tips is supposed to entirely go to your server. And on a side note, the people here who serve you are called servers and not waitresses. Anyways, you can pay the tip in cash or in card, but the preferred method is cash. The majority of the income for the servers come from tips. And personally, having worked in cafes, I know how hard it is. So please go ahead and provide some tips. The matrix system used here in the US is pretty confusing and it's different from the rest of the world. For example, here people use pound instead of kg. And it's also good to know that the symbol for pound is LB. Very easy to get confused. Trust me on that. The first time I went for groceries, I had to Google it. Anyways, it's not just pound and kg. Many things are different here. For example, here people use Fahrenheit instead of Celsius, miles instead of kilometers, and also gallons instead of liters. So, best of luck. Now let's talk about ID cards. There are two types of ID cards here in the US that you can easily get. The first one being the driver's license and the other one is the state ID card. You can get either one of these. But if you know how to drive, get the driver's license or otherwise, get the state ID. With these ID cards, you can buy alcohol at a store. You can even take domestic flights. You don't need to carry your passports everywhere. That's a huge gain. Do that. Here in the US, we put gas in our car, but the irony is it's a liquid. It's a short form for gasoline. While in other parts of the world like India, UK, we put petrol in our car. And technically, both petrol and gas are, different terms for the same fuel which is used in internal combustion engines. But don't be surprised if you don't see an option for petrol here in the US. This brings me to my second point, which is that the gas stations here in the US are mostly self-service. So you need to put gas in your car, you need to put air in your tires. No one is there to help you out, except in a few states like I think Oregon. Here in the US, it's pretty normal to greet, smile, or nod at strangers, even hold the doors for strangers. It's neither creepy nor someone is hitting on you. People are more polite on the outside. You will encounter this kind of situations while entering a building, in elevators, while ordering food or coffee, or even in any common place. It's pretty normal. So return that kind of politeness with another smile or nod at least. So you have to go for groceries pretty often, and every major grocery chain has its own loyalty program or rewards cards. So when you go for groceries for the first time, definitely enroll in one. And these cards are not credit cards. For example, when you buy something, you get points on that, and also the price gets reduced every time during checkout. So for example, when you go for groceries, you'll see something written as regular price $5 and with card it's $3. So when you shop for say around $100, you on an average will be saving 15 to 20 bucks. So it's definitely a great deal and you must do that. Your passport is one hell of an important document if you're here in the US. Don't lose your passport. Keep it secure. Don't carry it to bars and lose them. Instead, take your state ID cards or driver's license. Also, in the event of loss of a passport, don't panic. You can easily apply for another passport online in your nearest embassy and get it in 14 business days. That's lucky. Phew. SSN or Social Security Number is another important document once you land here in the US. It helps to uniquely identify you. It tracks everything you do, whether you're getting a house or a car or a new credit card, everything. You need to apply for an SSN if you are looking to work here. Also, SSN should be kept private. Never share the number with anyone unless you trust that person. Also, you might be getting a lot of calls, spam calls to ask you, and they will ask you about your SSN. Never share that number. Be very careful about that. The definition for jaywalking is to cross the road unlawfully without any regard for the approaching traffic. Jaywalking is a crime here in the US. If a cop catches you, you can be fined. So don't cross the road wherever you like. Always cross it from the nearest crosswalk. On a side note, the crosswalk, it's called crosswalk here, but in India it's called the zebra crossing because of the way it's colored, the black and white. The names of some of the veggies here in the US are different. I faced this issue when I first came here. So what happened is I used to call something coriander, but here it's actually known as cilantro. I faced this issue when I first walked into a subway. So I was pointing at coriander and the person couldn't understand. So it was pretty confusing. And similarly, another veggie which has a different name is bell peppers. I used to call it capsicum. And so it created again confusion there. So it's best to know these small, nitty-gritties and nuances to avoid any kind of confusion. Here in the US, whenever you go to eat in a restaurant, the people at the reception will ask you for here to go. What they basically mean is whether you want to eat in the restaurant or you want to take out. Prior to that, I had heard take out and not to go. So it was confusing to me in the first go. Also, the people here speak a little fast, so it's difficult there as well. So this is another good thing for you to know if you're visiting a restaurant here. You can easily get scammed here in the US in a lot of ways. The primary one being scammed in a grocery chain. You will see that the scammers are trying to initiate a conversation with you. But not everyone is a scammer, so go ahead and talk to the person. But you will notice that these scammers are putting in more effort in the conversation. They'll also ask for your phone number. But once they start talking about side businesses and entrepreneurship, it's a hint for you to end the conversation and run. The end goal for these scammers is to add you in some kind of a pyramid scheme. Nowadays, I've seen during the quarantine period, the scammers are also contacting you on LinkedIn because there are fewer people in the grocery chain and also people are wearing masks. So nobody's talking with anyone. So just be very, very, very careful. Always have your current address updated in USPS, which stands for United States Postal Service. It costs a one-time fee of $1. It's nothing basically. But when a person is coming to US for the first time, he or she might be renting an apartment and may have to switch around pretty often. And if you have your address updated in USPS and your package goes to your old address, it will be automatically rerouted to your new address. You'll have that peace of mind. And also, most government IDs like driver's license, state IDs come via USPS. So you don't need to worry there. So whenever you're switching apartments, keep that info updated. A car is definitely not a luxury here in the US. In some cities like New York, the public transport is really awesome and people use that regularly and it's a great thing. But in some cities like Los Angeles, it sucks big time and you definitely need a car. So be prepared to rent, lease, buy a car based on your location. Also, private taxis here in the US are pretty expensive. And now in all the states of US, like we have Uber or Lyft. So definitely make use of those apps. never come to the United States without health insurance. Although health insurance is mostly mandatory for most overseas travel, but for US, it's absolutely critical. Health insurance here in the US is super duper expensive. If you don't have health insurance and you go to a doctor, it can cost a fortune. So be careful. And for example, if you're coming say for 10 days and you see that, oh, I'm pretty fit, I don't need full coverage, but definitely take full coverage. It's really worth that peace of mind. And always keep a printed copy with you wherever you travel.